Bro, you didn't push. You shoved her to the ground. You physically assaulted her, bro. Like there is no. Oh, I just went back and looked. You're trying to justify your assault. How can you justify an assault?
If you don't, this of course was Chennedy Carter calling Caitlin Clark a bitch last year before she gave her the WWE forearm shiver. All right, right here, called her a bitch. Boom, put her on the floor. All right, we all remember that. I mean, Lord knows, the world...
After months of silence, Chennedy Carter has finally spoken out about the now infamous hip check on Caitlin Clark, and what she said shocked everyone. Instead of owning up, she danced around the truth, dodging responsibility and stirring up even more backlash. In this video, we break down Carter's interview, her failed attempt at damage control, and why this might have just cost her a spot in the WNBA for good.
She instantly is not going to mention Caitlin Clark's name. She instantaneously is not mentioning her name. She keeps saying somebody, talking trash, this and that. So now she's trying to justify.
By now, why wait months in silence, only to finally speak out just days before WNBA training camps open?
Do I think she screwed up with the hip check? Yeah, of course. Do I think she has been a not great teammate in the WNBA?
Chennedy Carter, once a rising star in the league, just broke her silence about that infamous hip check on Caitlin Clark. But instead of apologizing, she doubled down. After all the buzz, the outrage, and the media frenzy, Carter finally opened her mouth, and what came out might have been even more damaging than the hit itself.
Player. Like, there's a level of going at. We all know with Chennedy Carter, it went way too far. Like, we can be honest here, it did go way.
In a recent interview, Carter talked circles around the incident without ever saying Clark's name. Somebody was talking trash, she claimed. There was a play, maybe an elbow, then I scored, then I gave a little, I'm here, just like that. She brushed it off like it was nothing more than playground banter. But this wasn't a casual bump, it was a full-body shove, in front of millions, aimed directly at the league's most watched rookie. And suddenly, Carter wasn't explaining, she was justifying. But it didn't stop there.
The game. But her behavior on and off the court is making it look real shady for her to get picked up by a team.
Carter actually tried comparing her actions to clips from the NBA. She mentioned players like Jeff Teague shoving LeBron James, like that somehow made it normal, like it made it okay. But this wasn't just about competition, it was personal. Her tone, her body language, everything screamed, I meant what I did. And when you strip away the excuses, all that's left is one cold truth. She still refuses to own what happened. And that's when the real motive started to show.
I gotta wonder, why is Chennedy Carter not on the Chicago Sky anymore? Question mark. Of course, a lot of people will tell you she's had locker room problems. We all know that, with various teams, and I guess including that
one. With no WNBA team willing to sign her, Carter's interview felt less like a confession and more like a desperate audition. She called it a nice little tap, said she didn't mean harm, claimed the media dragged it. But the footage says otherwise. The world saw it. She shoved Clark with force, and now she's trying to rewrite the moment like it was no big deal. That's not accountability. That's damage control. But then came the most twisted part. Carter said she loved the hate, that the criticism fuels her, that the backlash, she enjoys it. Let that sink in. She didn't just try to clean up the mess. She leaned into it. No apology, no reflection, just pure defiance, wrapped in ego. She wanted to shake the league. And now, she's getting exactly what she asked for, but not in the way she hoped.
Stand by this. What she did was what Markieff Morris did to Nikola Jokic. Like, it's very, like, blind. It's one thing pushing Caitlin Clark, and it's another thing blindsiding her. Like, I don't think there's no justification for that.
And what's worse, this might have just sealed her fate, because the WNBA isn't looking for players who can score. They want professionals who can lead, respect the game, and lift the league. Carter's stunt did the opposite, and instead of walking it back, she lit the match again, right before training camp. That shove might have been the final play of her WNBA career. When someone refuses to name the person they're talking about, it usually means they're hiding something.
Started off, popped off all the, what you would call violence towards Caitlin Clark last year. Does not have.
That's exactly what Chennedy Carter did. In her long-awaited interview, she never once said the name Caitlin Clark. Not once. Instead, she danced around it, calling her somebody, saying there was trash talk, and blaming it all on vague tension during the game. But let's be honest, we all know who she meant. And Carter knew we'd know. So why avoid saying the name everyone was waiting to hear? Because if she says it, she owns it. By keeping Clark's name out of her mouth, Carter tried to make the shove seem random, like it wasn't personal. But it was. Everyone saw it. Everyone replayed it. That hip check was targeted and deliberate, and acting like it could have been anybody is just another way to dodge responsibility. It's not just about what she did, it's about how far she's willing to twist the story to avoid being held accountable.
Chennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
That was a shove. That was a shove. You're telling me that right there, this was a shove.
Now with 12 points.
This
Chennedy Carter
was a
now
shove.
with 12.
Come on, bro.
And if you think that's the end of it, think again. What she said next took the excuses to a whole new level. When someone's caught in the act, there are two choices, own it or spin it. Chennedy Carter chose the spin, and not just a small one. She tried to twist what the world saw with their own eyes into some casual basketball moment. But let's be honest, no one's buying it. And
That's not part of basketball, bro. What you did to Caitlin Clark, you can't justify that assault. Like, are you, bro? I just cannot believe I'm watching this right now, bro.
in her interview, Carter didn't apologize. She didn't express regret. Instead, she went straight to deflection mode, claiming there was trash talk going back and forth during the game. According to her, it wasn't personal, just competitive energy, just part of how basketball works. But here's the problem with that. Everyone saw the clip. There was no verbal exchange, no heated argument, no physical back and forth. Just one player, Caitlin Clark, minding her business, and another, Chennedy Carter, storming in with a cheap shot from behind. But it gets worse.
The whole Caitlin Clark situation was there was so much media just craziness up to that point, and everything about what Caitlin Clark versus Angel, all this mad stuff in the media. And I mean, emotions are high in a game like that. Emotions are always high in a game, and they got the better of Chennedy Carter. Like, I don't think...
To make her move sound innocent, Carter compared it to moments in the NBA. She brought up LeBron James of all people, saying players like Jeff Teague had pushed him before, as if that somehow puts her on the same level, as if that excuses what happened. Newsflash, there's a difference between bumping someone in the middle of a play and blindsiding a player who's walking away. One is tough defense, the other is just dirty. Let's be clear, this wasn't some spontaneous reaction during a heated exchange. This was calculated. It was premeditated. The kind of move you make not to win a game, but to send a message. And now she wants to rewrite the story like it was a little tap, like it was just some I'm here moment? No, it was a shove, full body, full intent, the kind of move that gets players ejected and remembered for all the wrong reason. And here's the thing, she's not just trying to downplay the shove, she's trying to flip the blame. Carter hinted that she was reacting to something Clark might have said earlier. She's building a narrative where she was the victim of trash talk, and the hip check was just her way of standing her ground. But even if there was smack talk, since when does that give anyone the green light to physically hit someone? If every player acted like Carter, every WNBA game would turn into a brawl. And let's talk about the time.
27th. Chennedy Carter is not on any WNBA roster. Want to know why? Because it's Chennedy Carter's fault she's not on any WNBA rosters. Her actions prove that no team is willing to bet their luck on her.
The season is about to start. Training camps are underway. And Carter, she's still unsigned. So this interview isn't just about clearing the air. It's a desperate attempt to stay relevant, to fix her image, to show she can explain what happened so that some team might take a chance on her. But here's the truth. Real accountability doesn't come with a PR strategy. It comes with honesty. And Carter hasn't shown an ounce of it. Instead, she's leaning on vague excuses and NBA comparisons, hoping we'll forget the footage, hoping fans will move on. But they won't, because everyone remembers what they saw, and now they see even more clearly who she really is. And just when you think she couldn't say anything worse, if you're not willing to admit what you did, how can anyone believe you've changed? That's the biggest red flag in Chennedy Carter's interview. She never actually takes responsibility. Not once. Instead of owning the moment, she dodges it. She shrugs it off. She claims it's been blown out of proportion by the media and spun out of control by fans. In her mind, it wasn't that serious. Just a little drama stirred up for clicks and headline. But here's the truth. No one forced her to deliver that shove. No one edited the clip to make it look worse. People were shocked because what she did was shocking. and yet somehow, she still sees herself as the victim. Carter paints the whole situation like it was just a media circus. She talks like the public overreacted, that the league, the coverage, the fans, everyone exaggerated what really happened. But that's not how accountability works. If you mess up, you face it, you own it. You don't rewrite history and blame the people watching. That's not leadership, that's denial. Even worse, she tries to play both sides. On one hand, she says it was a simple tap. On the other, she claims she was provoked. She dances between acting like nothing happened and acting like everything was justified. Which one is it? Because if you're going to say the media turned this into a firestorm, you better have clean hand. And Carter doesn't. She lit the match, and now she's pointing fingers at the smoke. But here's what really exposes
And Clark. And Clark.
A bit harder than a tap. I think if Creighton was looking at her, it's one thing. You can't go through someone behind.
Real athletes take pride in being accountable. They know the spotlight comes with pressure. They accept criticism when it's deserved. Carter, instead, made it all about how unfair it's been for her, how people don't understand her side, as if Caitlin Clark didn't just get blindsided in front of a packed arena, as if the cameras lied, as if the whole world suddenly forgot how replay works. Things somehow got even worse. This didn't sound like a bold statement. It sounded like a plea, a carefully timed, last-minute attempt to fix a mistake that's still haunting her career. Let's not sugarcoat it. Chennedy Carter wants back in. The WNBA season is right around the corner. Training camps are open. Teams are making final roster decisions. And Carter, still inside, still on the outside looking in. So now she's talking, not to explain, not to apologize, but to spin. And John the Liquidator called it exactly what it is, a desperate move. But here's the problem. It's too little, too fake, and way too late. In her interview, Carter tried to sound calm, reasonable, even lighthearted, like the shove wasn't serious, like it had just been overblown by fans and the media. She cracked jokes, shrugged it off, said she loved the hate. But that's not what teams want to hear. That's not what earns trust in a locker room. You don't fix a reputation by pretending nothing ever happened. And John was quick to call it. This will backfire. Because instead of showing growth, Carter showed pride. Instead of taking a moment to say, I messed up, she acted like she was the one who got wrong. And if you're a coach or GM watching that clip, you're not seeing a player ready for a comeback. You're seeing a player who refuses to change, one who thinks she's above criticism, one who still sees herself as the victim, despite throwing the first hit. And that's not just dangerous, it's exhausting. Teams don't want drama. They want consistency, leadership, accountability. Carter had a chance to reset the narrative, and she blew it. Because rather than be honest, she tried to sell a version of the story no one's buying. And when you double down on bad behavior instead of correcting it, you're not building a comeback, you're digging a deeper hole. Carter thought she could spin it, say a few words, act casual, call it no big deal, and move on. But social media doesn't forget. And it definitely doesn't let this kind of thing slide. The second that interview dropped, it was game over. Clips went viral. Screenshots spread like wildfire. And the backlash? Immediate. Fans didn't just call her out. They tore the whole story apart. From Twitter to TikTok, people were picking apart every word, every shrug, every excuse. Because when you shove a player on live TV and then try to act like it was nothing, yeah, the internet's going to have something to say. And Carter's biggest mistake wasn't to shove. It was treating the audience like they were stupid. She acted like the video didn't exist, like people didn't watch the moment unfold in real time. She said things like just a tap or a little moment, completely ignoring what really happened. And that's why the internet is roasting her, not just for what she did, but for trying to insult everyone's intelligence afterward. That kind of arrogance doesn't fly, especially when the footage proves you wrong in slow motion. And John warned us. He said this was coming. He saw through the fake calm, the fake confidence, the fake apology. He said the media would eat this up, that fans would drag it through the mud. And he was right, because this isn't just about basketball anymore, it's about credibility. Carter had a chance to show growth. She chose to show ego. And now she's facing a storm she started all by herself. But even as the backlash explodes online, her final comment pushed everything over the edge. Sometimes, it's not the action that ruins you, it's how you respond after. And that's where Chennedy Carter completely lost the plot. John said it best. She crossed the line, and instead of walking it back, she laughed it off. She mocked the outrage. She played it cool, like none of it mattered. But it does. In today's game, reputation is everything. And Carter didn't just break trust with fans. She sent a message to the entire league that she doesn't care. And that's what makes this worse than the shove. Because when you downplay something that serious, you're telling the world you learned nothing. You're telling teams you're not ready. You're telling young players watching from home that accountability can be skipped if you smile through it. But it doesn't work like that. Not in this league. Not in front of these fans. and especially not when the whole world is watching. What Carter did on the court was one thing. What she said afterward, that's what's going to follow her. The excuses, the comparisons, the fake calm, it only made things worse. She could have just said sorry. She could have shown real growth, but instead, she doubled down. And that kind of pride doesn't rebuild careers, it buries them. So while the WNBA moves forward, Carter's stuck. Not because of the shove, but because she refuses to own it. And now the question isn't whether Chennedy Carter crossed the line, it's whether she'll ever recover from it. Because in a league built on accountability and leadership, playing the victim won't get you very far. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more no-fluff coverage on the biggest stories in women's basketball. We're keeping the pressure on, and the truth front and center. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.